On August 7, 2016, in a remote rural area near Scone, two unsuspecting pedestrians stumbled upon a chilling discovery hidden among the dense underbrush. Mere feet from the road lay a shallow grave, and what they uncovered within it sent a shiver down their spines. Human remains were unearthed, prompting authorities to swiftly secure the scene. Forensic experts began their painstaking examination, and as DNA testing and other forensic analyses progressed, a devastating truth emerged. The remains belonged to Carly McBride, a mother of two from Belmont who had mysteriously vanished on September 30, 2014. Join us as we delve into the chilling crime surrounding Carly McBride, born on April 14, 1983, to Steve McBride and Lorraine Williams in New South Wales, Australia. From a young age, Carly radiated energy, her vibrant personality and infectious smile drawing others to her. She was a bright and outgoing child, forming strong bonds with her parents and those around her in a nurturing household. However, as she transitioned into adolescence and adulthood, Carly began to face challenges that led her down a troubling path. During her teenage years, personal struggles began to surface, altering the trajectory of her life. Carly found herself grappling with addiction, turning to alcohol and illegal substances, a choice that would take a significant toll on her well-being. Yet amid these struggles, Carly displayed remarkable resilience and an unwavering desire to reclaim her life. She sought help multiple times, showcasing her determination to overcome her addiction. In 2013, at the age of 30, she took a pivotal step by entering a rehabilitation center. It was there that she crossed paths with Sale Newson, a man who would play a crucial role in her life. What began as a casual friendship soon evolved into a deeper bond. By August 2014, Carly and Sale had become nearly inseparable. At 31 years old, Carly was a devoted mother to her two young children, 7-year-old William and 3-year-old Cadence. She resided in Belmont, New South Wales, and was making earnest efforts to rebuild her life for herself and her children. Although Carly and Sal's relationship had its ups and downs, they outwardly appeared happy. Yet those closest to Carly recognized occasional conflicts between the couple. On September 30, 2014, a day that began like any other soon spiraled into tragedy. Carly had plans to visit her daughter, Cadence, who lived in Muswell Brook with her father, Andrew Easton. Sale agreed to drive Carly to Andrew's home, where she intended to spend a few hours with her child. At approximately 12:30 p.m., Sale dropped Carly off outside Andrew's house, unaware of the dark turn her life was about to take. Andrew Easton had agreed to drive Carly McBride to his home, where she planned to spend a few hours with her daughter, Cadence. At approximately 12:30 p.m., Sale Newson dropped Carly off just outside Andrew's house. As was customary, Sale expected Carly to reach out, either by call or text, to assure him of her safety and to inform him when she was ready to be picked up. But that day, the usual pattern was disrupted. When Sale returned a few hours later to collect her, Carly was nowhere in sight. Andrew Easton claimed that he and Carly had an argument, prompting her to leave his home on foot. He reported that Carly had mentioned heading to the nearest McDonald's, a 20-minute walk away. However, something felt off. Carly had not contacted Sale to update him on her whereabouts, a behavior that was completely out of character for her. Concerned, Sale attempted to call her repeatedly, but each call went unanswered. Assuming her phone had died, he decided to drive towards McDonald's, scanning the streets in hopes of catching a glimpse of her. Despite his relentless searching, there was no sign of Carly McBride. She was absent from McDonald's and nowhere along the roads that led to it. With each passing moment, Sale Newson's worry deepened. He drove through the streets of Muswell Brook, hoping to find Carly sitting on a bench, standing by the roadside, or walking home. But as time slipped away, it became increasingly clear that she had vanished without a trace. When she failed to return to their home in Belmont that evening, Sale realized something was terribly wrong. In a desperate move, he contacted the police to report her missing. Investigators moved quickly, piecing together the last known movements of Carly McBride. They began their inquiries with Sale, who described the routine he and Carly shared during their visits to see their daughter, Cadence. In a solemn recounting, Sale shared, "It would be exactly the same thing every time. I would drop her off, she would get out of the car, walk to the front door, pick up her daughter in her arms, and then turn around to wave me off." He recalled that she would always call him twice and text him twice during each visit just to reassure him she was okay. But that day was different. He dropped her off around 12:30 p.m., and after that, silence fell. "I never heard from her again," he lamented. "Not a single text, not a single call. I tried to reach her, but her phone just went silent." As the investigation progressed, detectives turned their focus to Andrew Easton, the last person known to see Carly McBride alive. Andrew initially reported that he and Carly had a heated argument that afternoon, which led her to leave his home on foot. He claimed she intended to walk to a nearby McDonald's. However, as investigators delved deeper, doubts began to surface. Was Andrew withholding crucial details? While he insisted that Carly had willingly departed after their disagreement, no eyewitnesses could corroborate his account. Not a single neighbor had seen her leave, nor did any pedestrians or drivers recall spotting her along the supposed route to McDonald's. The investigators found themselves questioning Andrew's narrative. Had Carly truly left his house that day, or was there more to the story? As they probed further, the chilling uncertainty of her fate loomed large. Under scrutiny, Andrew maintained his claim that Carly had stormed out after their argument, setting off towards the fast food restaurant. Yet something felt amiss. Carly had not contacted Sale to inform him of her whereabouts, a stark departure from her usual behavior. Concern escalated for Sale as he repeatedly called Carly, only to be met with silence. Assuming her phone had died, he drove toward McDonald's, scanning the streets intently, hoping to catch a glimpse of her. With each moment that passed, the shadow of fear grew darker, enveloping the search for Carly McBride. An inconsistency in Andrew's account immediately raised a red flag. Determined to verify his testimony, police initiated a thorough canvassing of the area, interviewing residents and local business owners in an attempt to piece together Carly's last known movements. Investigators meticulously examined anyone who might have been in the vicinity that day, while also exploring every possible pathway Carly could have taken. Strangely, despite their diligent efforts, no one reported seeing Carly walk towards the fast food restaurant or anywhere else. The absence of any sightings only intensified suspicions surrounding Andrew's statement. Compounding the mystery was the lack of surveillance footage, which would have offered a glimpse into Carly's actions that day. Investigators meticulously reviewed security camera recordings from homes, businesses, and traffic intersections along the route Carly might have taken. However, they uncovered no evidence suggesting she had been on foot in the area that day. Even more unsettling was the fact that Andrew's residence was situated in an area of town with limited security camera coverage, complicating efforts to verify his claim about Carly's departure. With growing doubts about Andrew's narrative, investigators broadened their search to McDonald's itself, meticulously reviewing hours of surveillance footage from both inside and around the restaurant, hoping to confirm whether Carly had ever arrived there. After a painstaking analysis of the available recordings, the results were unequivocal. Carly never arrived at the restaurant. It was as if she had vanished without a trace, her presence seemingly erased from the world the moment she stepped outside. With mounting concern for Carly's safety, authorities conducted an extensive search of the surrounding areas, including the fields and wooded patches behind a nearby residential neighborhood. Despite these exhaustive measures, no significant evidence emerged to indicate her whereabouts or what might have happened to her. A lead investigator on the case later remarked, "At this stage, we haven't located any clear signs of foul play." The circumstances surrounding Carly McBride's disappearance are nothing short of alarming. Authorities urged the public to come forward with any information that could aid in the investigation. If anyone had seen Carly on that fateful day or possessed knowledge regarding her movements, they were implored to contact law enforcement immediately. Carly McBride was last seen clad in blue jeans, sandals, and a yellow t-shirt, her tan handbag in tow. Her sudden and mysterious vanishing left her family in a state of desperation for answers, while the police were resolute in their mission to uncover the truth. With a search warrant in hand, law enforcement officials descended upon Andrew Easton's home, the last location where Carly had been seen alive. A dedicated team of forensic experts and police officers meticulously scoured the residence for any clues that could illuminate the dark mystery surrounding her disappearance. They combed through every room, scrutinizing surfaces and objects, desperately searching for signs of a struggle or traces of blood, anything that could hint at Carly's fate. Investigators scoured the scene for any physical evidence that might suggest foul play. Despite their thorough efforts, nothing immediately stood out. There were no apparent signs of violence, no overturned furniture, and no broken glass. Every item remained in its place, offering no hints of a confrontation gone wrong. Yet the absence of physical evidence did not quell the rising tide of suspicion. As investigators delved deeper into the case, they unearthed a troubling digital trail. Carly McBride's Facebook account had been mysteriously deleted just hours after her disappearance, and even before it had been reported. This alarming revelation raised serious questions. Had Carly deleted her own account, or had someone else accessed it? Was this merely a strange coincidence, or was it an intentional act to erase digital evidence of a crime? Police quickly pursued this lead, theorizing that Carly's social media activity could hold critical clues. Investigators speculated that her Facebook messages might contain significant information, perhaps conversations with someone who knew what had happened to her, or messages revealing a conflict. It could also include a secret meeting, or a distress signal sent in desperation. Determined to retrieve the missing data, authorities reached out to the U.S. Department of Justice, seeking assistance in recovering Carly's deleted social media interactions. They also aimed to identify who had accessed her account last. With Facebook's data analysis and security operations headquartered in Menlo Park, California, officials believed this avenue could yield critical leads. Sergeant Wright, a senior detective on the case, emphasized the importance of digital evidence. He stated, "We are particularly concerned about the timing of Carly's Facebook account deletion. It is highly suspicious and could be a key factor in understanding what happened to her." He appealed to anyone who may have interacted with Carly online before her disappearance. If you exchanged messages with her, noticed anything unusual, or came across suspicious activity on her profile, please come forward. Any detail, no matter how small, could be the missing piece we need, urged Sergeant Wright. Some speculated that Carly had simply decided to leave and start a new life. However, Carly's family and friends vehemently refuted any notion that she had voluntarily vanished. Her close friend and flatmate, Kylie Smith, vividly recalled their last conversation as Carly made her way to Muswell Brook.
"She was so down to earth. I would call her a free spirit. She was easygoing and just loved life," Kylie shared. "She was the kind of person who always knew if you were having a bad day
and would check in with you. She cared deeply about her friends and family. The idea that she would just disappear without a trace doesn't make sense." With tears in her eyes, Kylie made an emotional plea to the public. As the investigation continued, the urgency for information grew. Carly's mother, Lorraine Williams, spoke with desperation. Each dawn brought the haunting uncertainty of their ordeal. Someone out there held the key to their nightmare, and she implored them to act on their conscience. Lorraine's voice trembled as she urged anyone with even the smallest piece of information to come forward. Every detail mattered. The police, determined to uncover the truth, conducted exhaustive searches in the area where Carly had last been seen. Search teams deployed trained dogs, scouring the surroundings in hopes of finding a clue. Meanwhile, police divers meticulously examined the depths of the Hunter River, while aerial surveillance and trail bike patrols covered vast stretches of terrain. Despite these extensive efforts, Carly remained elusive, her whereabouts a painful mystery. As weeks turned into months, despair began to settle in. The absence of new evidence was a bitter pill for Carly's family to swallow. Her digital footprint vanished, her phone remained silent, and her social media accounts showed no signs of life. Carly had not accessed her bank accounts, and investigators were increasingly haunted by the fear that Carly McBride was no longer alive. 9 agonizing months passed without answers, yet Carly's parents clung to hope, refusing to let despair overtake them. Steve McBride and Lorraine Williams continued their relentless search for their daughter. They made heartfelt appeals to the public for any scrap of information that might lead to her. Detective Timothy Seymour joined their efforts, urging citizens to step forward with any knowledge that could help. Even the smallest pieces of information could prove vital in the case. During an emotional public appeal, Lorraine fought back tears, her voice breaking as she begged for answers. "Our family is suffering. We just need to know what happened to our daughter," she implored. The impact of Carly's disappearance had devastated her family, with Steve McBride highlighting the emotional and logistical challenges they endured daily. In a somber reflection, Sale Newson expressed the difficulty of coping with the situation. The complexities surrounding Carly McBride's children weighed heavily on him. Each child had a different father, and the lack of contact was a painful reality they faced daily. In the midst of this turmoil, Detective Inspector Timothy Seymour reassured the public that the case remained a top priority. Law enforcement officers were working tirelessly, driven by the hope of finding the missing woman and bringing peace to her family. Inspector Timothy Seymour acknowledged the overwhelming amount of information they were sifting through. Despite this, he emphasized the need for more help. The passage of time forced Carly's parents to confront the heart-wrenching possibility that they might never see their beloved daughter alive again. The pain of uncertainty hung over them like a dark cloud. Lorraine, consumed by anguish, poured her heart into a letter addressed to the individual responsible for her daughter's abduction. "I don't believe there is a single soul who does not now know what happened to my baby or hasn't sensed the pain we are living with every single day," she wrote. "They will never again feel her soft, reassuring kisses or be wrapped in her warm, comforting hugs. They would never again hear that big, contagious belly laugh or witness her radiant, loving smile. Memories of Carly McBride were fading, slipping through the fingers of time like sand. They never had the chance to say goodbye. The pain, the anguish, the frustration weighed heavily on their hearts. Each day began with the hope that today might finally bring the phone call they so desperately yearned for. The call that could bring the news they had found their girl. This was the singular wish of those who loved her, to find Carly, to bring her home, and to lay her to rest. Despite the police's diligent efforts, they were unable to establish any direct link between Carly's disappearance and her ex-partner, Andrew Easton, who was quickly ruled out as a suspect. Investigators redirected their focus toward another potential suspect, Sale Newson, Carly's boyfriend at the time of her disappearance. As they delved deeper into their relationship, the facade of a loving partnership began to crumble, revealing troubling details that painted a starkly different picture than the one Newson portrayed. Though Newson publicly professed deep love and devotion for Carly, claiming she was the first woman he had truly loved in 14 years, the reality was marred by jealousy and frequent arguments. Investigators discovered that Newson's intense possessiveness often erupted into heated disputes, with one particularly explosive altercation occurring just 2 days before Carly vanished. They had fought over Facebook messages that Carly allegedly received from other men. While the public saw Newson as a distraught and inconsolable partner, tirelessly searching for Carly, the truth was far more complex. He launched a Facebook page, participated in awareness campaigns, offered financial rewards for information, and knocked on doors in the area where she was last seen. Yet beneath this carefully crafted facade, his actions began to tell a different story. Just hours after reporting Carly missing, Newson reached out to several women. Shockingly, just 2 days later, on October 2nd, he spent the night with another woman. His actions stood in stark contrast to his public display of grief, raising suspicions among investigators. While these details painted an unflattering portrait of Newson's character, they remained circumstantial. The police needed direct evidence to lay formal charges against him. Driven by the desire for answers, authorities intensified their investigation. In April 2015, police executed searches at 3 different properties, one in Muswell Brook and 2 in Scone, a town located approximately 15 miles from Muswell Brook in the Upper Huntershire. During these searches, officers seized 3 firearms and an undisclosed quantity of illegal substances. A 24-year-old man named James Canine was arrested in connection with the seized items. However, police clarified that the charges against Canine were unrelated to Carly's case. The emergence of Canine's name during the investigation raised questions. Could he have had some connection to Carly's disappearance, or was it merely an unrelated coincidence? The search for the truth continued, shrouded in mystery and uncertainty. The investigation had led to various leads, some unrelated to Carly's case, yet the emergence of Andrew Easton's name during the inquiry raised troubling questions. Did he have any connection to her disappearance, or was it merely an unfortunate coincidence? As time passed, the case remained frustratingly stagnant. Nearly 2 years slipped by without significant breakthroughs, and Carly's family endured an increasing anguish that seemed to deepen with each passing day. Despite this, detectives remained dedicated to the case. Then, on August 7, 2016, an unexpected discovery shifted the investigation's trajectory. In a remote rural area near Scone, 2 pedestrians stumbled upon a chilling sight while walking along a secluded path. What initially piqued their curiosity quickly transformed into horror as they unearthed a shallow grave, partially hidden among dense bushes just feet away from the roadside. Inside that grave lay human remains, The presence of these remains, obscured by time and the elements, prompted authorities to rush to the scene. Their arrival marked the commencement of a complex and emotionally charged investigation. Forensic experts meticulously combed through the site. They gathered every fragment of evidence that could potentially unveil the identity of the deceased. Their analysis soon delivered a devastating confirmation. The remains belonged to Carly McBride, the young mother of 2 from Belmont. Carly had vanished without a trace nearly 2 years earlier, on September 30th, 2014. Aware of the gravity of this breakthrough, law enforcement made a strategic decision to withhold the announcement for 4 days. They hoped to gather additional crucial evidence before alerting potential suspects. Once they felt confident in their preliminary findings, Intendant Guyana took to the podium to address the gathered press outside the Scone police station, ready to unveil the shocking news. Intendant Guyana's solemn expression mirrored the profound weight of the investigation. He stated firmly, "We do not believe that this was a random act." He continued, "Carly McBride's disappearance and murder were not coincidental. Our team is thoroughly examining her past, her acquaintances, and every individual who may have played a role in the tragic events leading to her death." Yet, despite this bold declaration, Intendant Guyana maintained a cautious stance, refraining from naming any suspects. As the investigation progressed, their resolve to achieve justice only strengthened. For nearly 10 months, detectives painstakingly sifted through a growing collection of evidence. Their tireless efforts culminated in a decisive moment. On June 19, 2017, an arrest warrant was issued for Sale Newson. Intendant Guyana reiterated that while the discovery of evidence was a significant milestone, the investigation remained in its early stages. Detectives continued to work tirelessly, piecing together a puzzle that had remained unsolved for far too long. For the lead investigator on the case, this breakthrough was the result of years of relentless determination and unwavering commitment. He expressed, "It has taken us 2 years to reach this point, and we now possess an extensive and compelling volume of fresh evidence that demands careful examination. Over the past 2 years, our dedicated team has spared no effort in uncovering the truth behind Carly McBride's disappearance. We are determined to solve this case and bring closure to her family." The new evidence obtained by investigators was substantial. While it would take time to process and analyze, significant progress was already underway. Carly McBride's parents, Steve McBride and Lorraine Williams, stood before the cameras, their anguish palpable. The discovery of Carly's remains offered a painful semblance of closure, yet the wound left by her loss remained painfully raw. They expressed gratitude for the unwavering support from law enforcement and the community. However, the tormenting question of who was responsible for their daughter's brutal death loomed over them, overwhelming their grief. Yet with time, their resolve to see justice served only strengthened. For nearly 10 months, detectives meticulously sifted through the growing collection of evidence, and their tireless efforts culminated in a decisive moment when an arrest warrant was issued for Sale Newson on June 19, 2017. Yet, the lingering question of who was responsible for their daughter's brutal death tormented her family and the community. The grief they experienced was overwhelming. Law enforcement moved swiftly to apprehend him. As Sale Newson was taken into custody and escorted to the station for questioning, he remained steadfast in his denial, insisting he had no involvement in Carly McBride's tragic death. However, Newson was not the only individual under scrutiny. Authorities soon uncovered new leads pointing to 26-year-old James Canine, whom they suspected of assisting Newson in disposing of Carly's body. The investigation led to Canine's subsequent arrest. He was charged as an accessory after the fact. Investigators uncovered a significant connection between Carly McBride, Sale Newson, and James Canine, revealing that all 3 had crossed paths at a rehabilitation center. This center focused on treating alcohol and substance addiction. Although their time in the facility overlapped only briefly, their connection extended beyond its walls. Even after their departures, they maintained contact. This revelation led police to suspect that Canine may have played a more active role in the crime than initially assumed. As the case moved toward trial, prosecutors faced a formidable challenge. The circumstantial nature of the evidence meant that proving guilt would not be easily achieved. The investigation took a pivotal turn as police began to suspect that James Canine had played a more active role in the crime than initially believed. As the case progressed toward trial, prosecutors faced an uphill battle. The circumstantial nature of the evidence meant that proving guilt beyond a reasonable doubt would require meticulous argumentation and forensic expertise. The trial of Sale Newson officially commenced in August 2018, but the proceedings were anything but swift. Legal delays, procedural complications, and the intricacies of the evidence stretched the case over several years. The prosecution painted a chilling narrative of the night of Carly McBride's disappearance, alleging that Newson had arranged to meet with her shortly after she left her ex-partner's home. Driven by jealousy and rage, he launched a brutal attack, repeatedly striking Carly with unrelenting force. The violence left her with catastrophic injuries before she ultimately succumbed to her wounds. Her body was then transported to a remote location. Forensic specialists provided damning testimony, confirming that Carly McBride's cause of death was extensive trauma. At that time, only a limited number of individuals had access to this information: the police, Carly's parents, and forensic specialists at the John Hunter Hospital. Investigators became convinced that Newson's knowledge of this fact indicated his direct familiarity with the crime scene. This reinforced their belief that he was responsible for dumping Carly's body in the isolated location where it was eventually found 2 years later, further solidifying their suspicions. Forensic evidence confirmed that the clothes found on Carly's remains matched the ones she had been wearing on the day she went missing. This suggested that she had been killed shortly after leaving her former partner's house, eliminating any possibility that she had disappeared voluntarily. However, key personal belongings, including Carly's purse and mobile phone, were never recovered. The evidence was grim. Carly McBride had suffered devastating blunt force trauma. The extent of her injuries was horrifying, with 23 fractures to her skull, 13 fractures to her torso, and multiple breaks along her spine and ribs. The presiding judge, upon reviewing the evidence, could only describe the attack as an act of incomprehensible violence. During police interrogations, Sale Newson, Carly's boyfriend, chillingly boasted about his background as a mixed martial artist. He spoke of his prowess, revealing, "My main sport was Muay Thai. I had 20 fights and 20 wins. I trained with world champions, but by the time I got really good, I was too old." This statement took on a sinister undertone in light of Carly's fatal injuries. As investigators executed a search warrant at Sale Newson's residence, they unearthed a crucial piece of evidence that would change the course of the investigation. Hidden in a shoebox beneath his bed was a hand-drawn map. This map circled an area encompassing Muswell Brook and Scone, the very region where Carly's remains would later be discovered. Within the map, 3 locations were numbered, hinting at something far more sinister. Senior Constable Mohini later testified that 2 of these numbers corresponded to locations of point-to-point surveillance cameras, leading to critical evidence in the case following the discovery of Carly's remains in 2016. During a shocking phone call to his father, Steve McBride, Sale Newson revealed unsettling knowledge about Carly's remains. He mentioned that her skeleton was missing hand bones, a detail that had never been disclosed to the public. At that time, only a select few had knowledge of this fact: the police, Carly's parents, and forensic specialists at the John Hunter Hospital. This revelation led investigators to believe that Newson's awareness of such specifics indicated his direct involvement with the crime scene, strengthening suspicions that he was responsible for discarding Carly's body in the isolated location where it would eventually be found 2 years later. At that critical juncture, only a select few were privy to the grim details of Carly McBride's case. The police, her parents, and forensic specialists at the John Hunter Hospital held this information tightly. As investigators delved deeper, they became increasingly convinced that Sale Newson's awareness of such specific details pointed to his intimate knowledge of the crime scene. This revelation solidified their suspicions that he was, in fact, responsible for the heinous act of disposing of Carly's body in the desolate location where it would be discovered 2 years later. Authorities uncovered additional damning evidence while analyzing Newson's digital footprint. When forensic experts examined his mobile phone, they discovered that he had deliberately erased location services data from September 18th to October 2nd, 2014, a period that spanned Carly's disappearance and its immediate aftermath. As events unfolded, investigators learned that a photograph of Carly, which Newson had taken while driving her to Muswell Brook, had been altered before it was used in missing person flyers. This suggested a premeditated effort to manipulate details surrounding her last moments. Forensic experts discovered that Newson had specifically searched for information on how to delete a Facebook account. Curiously, his own account remained active, while Carly's had been mysteriously deleted shortly after she vanished. The prosecution's case was now fortified with a chilling narrative, leaving no doubt that they were determined to uncover the truth behind Carly McBride's tragic fate. As the search for Carly McBride commenced, Sale Newson publicly offered a $20,000 reward for any information that could lead to her whereabouts. However, a meticulous examination of his financial records revealed a stark reality. He was broke. This discovery cast a shadow over his reward offer, suggesting it was nothing more than a hollow gesture. Investigators quickly concluded that Newson had made this offer knowing well that no one would find Carly, ensuring he would never have to pay a dime. From the onset, he inserted himself into the police investigation, shifting suspicion onto others, while covertly gathering intelligence on law enforcement's movements. Newson persistently questioned authorities about their search strategies, monitored the activities of emergency services, and canvassed the neighborhoods surrounding the area. His actions appeared calculated, guiding the narrative away from himself while gaining insight into the police's next moves. He questioned officers about their intended search areas, all while claiming to seek CCTV footage and witness accounts. However, police began to suspect that his true motive was not to assist in the investigation, but rather to suppress information that could incriminate him. Authorities grew convinced that Newson was trying to ascertain whether anyone had witnessed him intercept Carly McBride on that fateful day. Meanwhile, teams of volunteers and dedicated police officers tirelessly scoured Muswell Brook, distributing missing person flyers. Desperately searching for any trace of Carly, Newson was found hundreds of miles away in Sydney. Rather than demonstrating concern for his missing girlfriend, he was texting friends, bragging about driving an Audi R8. His lack of urgency and apparent detachment from the search efforts only intensified suspicions regarding his involvement in Carly's disappearance. Another chilling revelation emerged when Newson claimed to know the exact location where Carly's remains had been found. He recounted the area in striking detail to Carly's father, Steve McBride. Yet investigators had intentionally fabricated a crime scene to mislead both the media and the public. This alarming detail confirmed to investigators that Newson possessed knowledge that only the perpetrator could have. As they delved deeper into his past, they uncovered a disturbing pattern of deceit that painted a troubling picture of his character. Forensic experts uncovered that he had conducted specific online searches related to deleting a Facebook account. Curiously, while his own account remained active, Carly's account had been mysteriously deleted shortly after her disappearance. In a startling turn of events, forensic experts uncovered that Sale Newson had conducted a targeted search for information on how to delete a Facebook account. This peculiar behavior raised eyebrows, especially since his own account remained active, while Carly's had mysteriously vanished from the platform shortly after her disappearance. This digital footprint, though circumstantial, emerged as a pivotal piece in the prosecution's mounting case against Sale Newson. Lacking direct physical evidence, the prosecution meticulously stitched together an irrefutable narrative that painted a chilling picture of events. They contended that upon picking Carly McBride up from Muswell Brook, Sale Newson was consumed by rage upon learning she had spent approximately 90 minutes alone with her ex-partner. Instead of cherishing moments with her daughter as planned, this revelation, fueled by his unchecked jealousy, allegedly ignited a brutal, unplanned attack on Carly. Forensic reports later corroborated the sheer savagery of the assault. Carly had sustained a staggering 23 skull fractures, 13 fractures to her torso, and multiple spinal and rib fractures. The judge concluded that the magnitude of her injuries left no doubt. She had endured an extended and violent beating before succumbing to her wounds. As the trial unfolded, Carly's devastated mother, Lorraine Williams, delivered a heart-wrenching statement at Newson's sentencing hearing. Through tears, she recounted the torment of waiting for her daughter's return, clinging to hope for 2 agonizing years, only to confront the horrific reality of identifying her remains in the morgue. Carly should be here, living her life with her children, her sister, her father, and me. Lorraine wept as she declared, "After today, I never want to hear, speak to, or see the man who took my beautiful daughter's life ever again. He no longer has any power to hurt me, and I refuse to waste another moment thinking about him. I will miss Carly for the rest of my life, every second of every day." Nearly 7 years after he first reported Carly missing, 43-year-old Sale Newson was found guilty in December 2021. The judge delivered a severe sentence. He was sentenced to 27 years in prison, with parole eligibility set for 2038. Yet even in the face of overwhelming evidence, Newson defiantly proclaimed his innocence. In a final plea, he turned to the judge, restating his claims. "I understand the verdict has been given." He insisted, "Your Honor, I'm innocent. From the moment I reported Carly missing to this very day, I have complied with the police, the courts, and the jails. I have been found guilty of a crime I did not commit. Someone else is responsible for this crime, not me. Now I have a long battle ahead of me to try and clear my name through the courts." In addition to Newson's conviction, his accomplice, James Canine, was also brought to justice. Investigators determined that Canine played a direct role in covering up Carly's murder. In July 2022, a jury found Canine guilty of aiding Newson in the disposal of Carly's remains. The prosecution revealed that Canine had repeatedly lied during 3 separate police interrogations, fabricating alibis to shield Newson from suspicion. He had also erased data from his phone to eliminate incriminating evidence. Despite the gravity of his crimes, James Canine showed little reaction when, in November 2022, the court imposed a sentence of 7.5 years in prison, with the prospect of parole looming after just 4 years. His cold and detached demeanor only deepened the heartbreak that enveloped Carly McBride's grieving family. They had endured years of torment, desperately seeking justice for their beloved daughter. Following the trial's conclusion, her parents were left grappling with the painful reality that, no matter the verdict delivered by the court, no measure of justice could ever restore the life of their cherished Carly.